This is Marcia Burke with part 7 of the true Easter story about how Jesus Christ died on the cross and rose from the dead for you and for me. In part 6, we looked at the taking of food and also Thomas' doubts. If you have not listened to part 6, I invite that you do so. But there are just a couple of things I would like to point out in part 6. Remember, the disciples were gathered together when Jesus appeared to them, but Thomas was not there. And after Christ left, the disciples later saw Thomas and told him that indeed Jesus has risen from the dead. Thomas said he would not believe unless he was able to put his finger into the nail prints in his hand and also to thrust his hand into Christ's side. 8 days later, Jesus appeared to Thomas and the others, and Christ told Thomas to reach his finger and touch his hands and to put his hand into his side, and not to be faithless, but to believe. Thomas cried, "My Lord and my God." And Jesus told Thomas that because he has seen him, he believes. But blessed are they, meaning you and me, who have not seen Christ, but yet we do believe. Part 7. Jesus appears to the disciples at the Sea of Tieberias. After these things, Jesus showed himself again to his disciples at the Sea of Tieberias. There were together Simon Peter, and Thomas called Didymus, and Nathanael of Canaan, and the sons of Zebedee, and 2 others of his disciples. Simon Peter said to them, "I go a-fishing." They said to him, "We also go with you." So they went forth and entered a boat immediately. They fished all night long and still caught nothing. When the morning came, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. He said to them, "Children, have you any food?" "No," they answered him. Then he said to them, "Cast your net on the right side of the boat, and you will find fish." They cast therefore, and they were not able to draw the net for the catch of fish. Therefore John, the disciple whom Jesus loved, said to Peter, "It is the Lord." And when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he wrapped his fisher's coat round him, for he was naked, and cast himself into the sea. The other disciples came in a little boat, for they were not far from land, and they dragged the net filled with fish. As soon as they had come to land, they saw a fire of coals there, and the fish laid on it, and some bread. Jesus said to them, "Bring the fish that you have caught." Simon Peter went and filled the net and pulled the net to land, full of great fishes, 153 of them. And although there were so many, the net was not broken. Jesus said to them, "Come and dine." And knowing that it was the Lord, none of them dared to ask him, "Who are you?" So Jesus took the bread that was lying there and gave it to them, and the fish likewise. This was the 3rd time that Jesus showed himself to his disciples after he had risen from the dead. This concludes our reading of part 7 of the true Easter story about how Jesus Christ died on the cross and rose from the dead for you and for me.